You're listening to After Hours FM.
Hey guys,
Hello.
welcome back to our 21st episode.
Yes.
This one is going to be a little different. It's going to be very informative. You're not going to hear any repeated opinions of ours,
Mm.
not as many as usual.
um, as you may have noticed, probably we have there has been a heat wave. I think in a big part of the world, the Western world, I should say.
Europe,
Because this was rough for us, but other countries in the world have been dealing with this. But we won't get into that right now. But now, since we're dealing with that, there has been some discourse online. I don't know if you've seen it, where it's kind of people pointing fingers at each other, like people do, about this is because of AI, like because these AI people were getting global warming is going to get worse. Like I hope they're enjoying it. And then you have people pointing their fingers back, saying no, because how can you say that? But then you're still eating meat.
because it's the meat industry causing all of the environmental
Yeah.
damage.
So that's kind of the back and forth I've been seeing online. And I think those are the main industries that are being represented online. So we thought it'd be interesting to really go into it. Who really is the culprit? Who should we be pointing fingers at?
Who is causing climate change?
Um but of course never point fingers, but we will be telling you who to point fingers at.
Exactly.
Also throughout everything, the sources that were used are sourced from the UN, NASA, Greenpeace, MIT News, Stanford University, just to name a couple, to prove to you that we are not just saying shit to say shit.
And we can provide you with the
We
links.
can do that for all our episodes. I know some people don't believe in climate change. For that, you need to go elsewhere
Yeah,
because
like
I don't got no time for that. But I will shortly, briefly explain what
how
the
it
hell
works.
climate change is.
Mm.
So the main driver of climate change is the greenhouse effect. A lot of people say it's because of the sun, um, because that's what has been driving climate change throughout history, throughout the years, with the different ice ages and whatnot. That's true, but that is not the case currently. That's not what is causing all this. Some gases in the Earth's atmosphere act a bit like the glass in a greenhouse. So it keeps it in. The gases can't escape to space, which is why it stays within the atmosphere. And that's why we get these repercussions. So yeah, it traps the sun's heat and stopping it from leaking back into space, which causes global warming. And then many of these gases occur naturally. They're all pretty much all found in nature. But human activities are increasing the concentrations of some of these gases. Of course, carbon dioxide, which arguably is our main op. Um,
That's the one I always hear about.
right? Because I think that one is, it's safe to say that that one's just the most,
Damaging or most
no,
prevalent?
most prevalent for sure. Nitrous oxide, methane, chlorofluorocarbons, or I know I ain't said that right, but whatever.
It's giving the periodic table song.
Yeah, I mean, they're all elements, so but oh yeah, carbon dioxide is a vital component of the atmosphere. If you don't know, it's what plants need, and then they turn it into oxygen for us.
And
Um,
we breathe it out.
yes.
That one I know.
So yeah, it's also released through natural processes like volcanic eruptions and through human activities, but also burning fossil fuels and deforestation that also releases a lot of carbon dioxide. Methane comes from both natural and human cost sources. It comes from plant matter breakdown in wetlands and is also released from landfills and rice farming. Livestock animals emit methane from their digestion and manure.
I knew about that one.
And then leaks from fossil fuel production and transportation are another major source of methane.
Mm.
Then nitrous oxide is a potent greenhouse gas produced by farming practices. Um, it's released during commercial and organic fertilizer production and use. And it also comes from burning fossil fuels and burning vegetation and has increased by 18% in the last 100 years, which is a lot. And the chlorofluorocarbons, they do not exist in nature.
Mm.
They are entirely of industrial origin, and they were used as refrigerant solvents and spray can propellants.
Oh.
Okay, now that we have covered the main gases, we can continue to talk about the biggest drivers of climate change. So, I feel like we all know this, but maybe because of the discourse online, we have forgotten. But fossil fuels, such as coal, oil, and gas, are by far the largest contributor to global climate change, accounting for around 68% of global greenhouse gas emissions and nearly 90% of all carbon dioxide emissions.
So, to obtain those fossil fuels, the processes that are used to do that, those emit the harmful chemicals, like the harmful greenhouse gases.
Um, no,
Oh.
it's when you burn fossil fuels, and
Oh.
that's what kind of
Oh,
releases these.
the gases.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I also thought it was to obtain them, but what you said makes a lot more
No, but
sense.
you're right, but it's more that
It's fine,
is
I'll just
bad
cut it
because
out.
I think it's because they use like heavy machinery and stuff, and they're like digging in the fucking earth. So it's
Mm,
still really really bad, and it still releases because there's still fuel being burned to get to this fuel, and you're
yeah,
still taking out natural um elements from the earth to
yeah,
use them as oil
right.
and whatever. But burning fossil fuels is done by humans for a couple of activities, and um that's what I want to talk about. So one of them is generating power to produce electricity and heat for us. And since climate change is getting worse and winters are getting colder and summers are getting hotter, we need more heating in the winter and more cooling in the summer. So that also makes it worse because we need more to burn more fossil fuels to make sure that can happen. Then manufacturing goods. Um, this also requires burning fossil fuels to generate the energy needed to make things like cement, iron, steel, electronics, plastic, clothes, and other goods. Literally everything. And then mining and other industrial process also release gases. Literally anything that is made ever, basically. Then cutting down forests. This one is also huge because the trees are they help us because they use up the carbon dioxide and then make it into oxygen. But if you cut down a tree, the carbon dioxide that they have been holding will be released into the air, so that is obviously bad.
Yeah.
Um, each year, approximately 10 million hectares of forests are destroyed, which is
That's insane.
so much.
And the concerning thing is that it happens each year, and the amount of trees that we have are limited. So each year, if we subtract that, we're eventually going to be left with no trees.
Exactly. And deforestation, together with agriculture and other land use changes, is responsible for roughly a third of global greenhouse gas emissions.
Wait, that's way more than I
It's so
thought.
much. And I got some more interesting numbers later when we get to the agriculture industry and the,
The meat eating
yeah,
part.
livestock industry. I got some pretty interesting numbers on that too, but we'll get to that. Then another activity for which fossil fuels are burned is using transportation, obviously, because everybody has a car or trains or aviation or boats. That's all, yeah,
Insane.
they emit a lot of greenhouse gases. Transport accounts for nearly one quarter of global energy related carbon dioxide emissions. And this will increase, which is also so much. Then producing food, we'll also get to that in a second, but that also causes emissions of carbon dioxide, methane, and other greenhouse gases because of deforestation and cleaning land for agriculture and grazing, digestion by cows and sheep, the production and use of fertilizers and manure for growing crops, and the use of fossil fuels to run farm equipment or fishing boats. Um, and also in packaging and distributing food, which is all with all, that's a lot. Take a shot every time I say a lot, by the way. Another activity is powering buildings. I feel like this kind of goes hand in hand with the first one, which was generating power, but it was categorized as something else. So I also categorized it as a different thing. Oh, yeah. Also, just electricity consumption increases over the years. Like, people increasingly have more devices, more like shit to plug in their houses. So,
And what kind of boggles my mind is that there are so many other like non-harmful ways to generate energy, but we don't really use them.
they are used. I think I read that approximately a third of everything we use is solar panels or wind power.
Okay, that's
But
good.
because we
Use
increase
so
our
much.
use, it's not going to sustain. Like, it needs to change, it needs to be more. But we do have something going on for ourselves, which is nice. And then the last category, which it was I thought was interesting that they categorized it as something else, but it's literally consuming too much, because we live in a fucking consumer consumption.
Society,
Yeah.
yeah.
And people just be buying shit, and like, literally, it's ridiculous, because like I just said, everything you eat, everything you buy, wherever you go, that all attributes to greenhouse gases
Yeah.
and climate change. So because people keep are doing that more because that's what we value in society these days, that also increases greenhouse gases,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. Oh yeah, another little statistic: the 20 largest economies are responsible for almost 80% of global emissions.
Eight are the 20 largest economies by country.
I think, yeah,
Oh my god.
isn't that crazy?
Eat the rich.
Literally eat the rich. All right,
It's time to start pointing fingers.
now we're getting to the juicy part.
I mean, we
Sorry,
know that
we had to get the boring stuff out of the way, but it's just important to know. So,
background info.
exactly. So, since we want to be pointing fingers, let's point fucking fingers. We're going to start by talking about the meat industry. A little documentary that could be fun to watch. Well, fun is maybe. No, I actually think it's really
Interesting.
interesting, and it's not gory. I know, I think that's what you might expect for me
Yeah.
to suggest like one where you can see animal suffering and stuff, for like one of them traumatizing ones. I don't think this is that. It's pretty famous. It's called Cowspiracy. It's on Netflix. It's a little old. It's from 2014. It's directed by Kip Anderson and Keegan Kunn. It was also about how the meat industry as a greenhouse gas emitter was kind of covered up, because
Oh,
you don't like, even Greenpeace didn't want to tell their audience that, oh, by the way, like, you're eating meat that's kind of bad, because people see meat as like a first priority,
yeah.
you know. They thought it was going to scare away their audience, basically. It's a really interesting documentary. I highly recommend. um so yeah, meat and dairy products have been a source of food for millennia, but modern industrial farming practices and the sheer number of animals involved is causing huge environmental damage, squeezing out wild animals and accelerating climate change. Interesting statistics yet again. I think this is the kind of a way to visualize it a little bit, because I feel like these things are a little bit hard to comprehend because it's on
Yeah.
such a large scale. But there are now so many food companies keeping livestock that an estimated 60% of all mammals on the planet are livestock,
Oh my
while
god.
just 4% are wild, and the other 36% is us, humans.
What?
And then farmed poultry, so
What?
like chicken, is 70% of all birds.
Oh fuck.
Doesn't Isn't that insane?
I never realized this.
Really?
I
And
never
I
realized this.
swear on God, I did not pull this out of my ass. This is on Greenpeace, their website.
Wait, so for livestock,
Mm-hmm.
or I mean for mammals, so it's either wild or livestock, and it's never like
What else?
in the zoo.
Um, that's I don't think that's a lot of. I don't think that's
Percent.
significant.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
see. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I thought it was interesting to include. So, as you can
Or like
imagine,
dogs and cats.
I thought about that too, but I imagine
It's
it's not
still not
significant.
significant.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Um. Anyways, all these animals, as you can imagine, they need a lot of food, and area to live, even though a lot of them don't have enough room at all. But because there's so many, they still need a lot of room regardless, even if they only get one fucking square inch of ground each. Um, and it's just so much forest has been cut down and grasslands and wetlands have been destroyed to feed livestock because that soy that they eat, their food needs to be planted somewhere too. A lot of the Amazon rainforest and other South American forests and savannas have been replaced with fields of soya, wiping out the wildlife they support.
Oh my god! And to think that soy is probably also like the one of the most popular and accessible vegetarian alternatives
Yes.
for meat.
Dude, I'm gonna get to that. I have girl, oh my god. But wait, agriculture and deforestation contribute to a quarter of global greenhouse gas emissions, and animal farming is responsible for 60% of the emissions from agriculture. And so these emissions come from what I previously mentioned, converting forest and other landscapes into fields for animals or, food for them to eat that needs to be grown somewhere. And this releases greenhouse gases and removes trees that help suck up the and store carbon dioxide. And then artificial fertilizers also use a lot of energy to produce, and they also release greenhouse gases, and they can pollute rivers and oceans. They're usually not very good for the environment either. And a little cherry on top, meat production is one of the leading drivers of biodiversity loss worldwide
Oh,
because forests are being cut down for them to
yeah.
live or for their food to grow. And that biodiversity, the animals that live there, they can't live there anymore because their home is fucking gone.
And biodiversity keeps the planet in balance.
Yeah,
So if there is a dent in that, it can be dangerous for other species. And we can't live without certain types of animals either.
exactly. Like a lot of animals you think are annoying and they seem like they have
Dangerous.
no purpose also, but they are all there to like most of them do have a purpose. Maybe it's not for us, but not everything has to be for us.
True.
Um
And eventually it will lead back to us because it
for
will,
sure.
yeah, it will be.
It's like the moral equilibrium kind of, but the environmental equilibrium that we're kind of fucking up over here. And I don't know if you've heard about this, but I feel like people always talk about cows specifically, that they
Yes,
release a lot.
of methane. Yeah,
And they are significantly more environmentally harmful than like,
smaller animals.
yeah.
Hmm.
But obviously none of it is
Environmentally friendly.
zero.
Yeah.
But beef and other ruminant meats like lamb, goat, and buffalo have the largest environmental footprint. Um, ruminants are a type of animal with a four-chambered digestive system that allows them to digest tough, fibrous plants such as grasses, producing methane as a byproduct. A recent inventory of livestock emissions shows that ruminants account for about 80% of livestock methane. Pigs and chickens contribute much less methane, and life cycle studies show that they also use 8 to 10 times less land per gram of protein than beef.
Okay, so it's even if you cut out red meat, it would still be
Absolutely.
environmentally
Mm-hmm.
beneficial.
That
Okay.
was my next point. Shifting even part of your diet away from beef and lamb toward lower impact meats such as pork or chicken or whatever, or even plant based proteins can free up land and significantly cut warming pollution.
Not all of the meat that you can buy in the world is going to be mass produced in a big ass farm where the animals don't have any room to breathe and they are fed soy from the cut down parts of the Amazon rainforest. But you can assume that the meat you
This,
buy
well,
at the supermarket is going to be that meat.
yeah, and I think for their diet, I think they are most, if not all time, all of the time, their food is from these deforested parts of whichever country. You just,
True.
it's just the one of them cases where you can't really win. It's just how bad do you want to lose kind of thing,
Yeah.
because it's not going to ever be good. Also, which I thought was interesting to include, animal agriculture, if you think about it, what you just mentioned about the soy, it's pretty inefficient to produce enough food for all of us on the planet, because for every 100 calories of crops that are fed to animals, we get 40 calories in the form of milk, 12 calories of chicken and just 3 calories of beef. Whereas if we got,
The crops
this,
directly.
yes. Um, and more than two-thirds of all agricultural land is devoted to growing feed for livestock. Meanwhile, only 8% is used to grow food for direct human consumption.
Oh my god.
So if you think about it, that's not very logical. And then to extend this a little bit, globally, agriculture occupies about half of the world's habitable land, and nearly 80% of that farmland is devoted to livestock.
Oh my god. So almost half of the world's habitable land is used for livestock.
Yeah,
Great.
literally. And before anyone comes over here talking about some, you need meat to survive, you need this, it's, you can't just cut it out, it's bad. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Do whatever you want to do. But I did watch a cool documentary show. I don't know if you can call it documentary, it's more of just a show. You Are What You Eat on Netflix. It has like 4 episodes or something, but it's based on a groundbreaking study by Stanford Medicine. Um, and they follow about 22 pairs of identical twins and examine the impact of food choices. One twin eats vegan, and the other one just has an omnivorous diet.
Like most humans do who
Mm-hmm.
eat meat and plants.
Yeah. And then some nutrition scientist, his name is Christopher Gardner, chose to um, work with twins to control for genetics and similar lifestyle choices. So you can really see how it influences a
A
person,
person.
because they pretty much have the same, genotype if they're
Yeah.
identical. So just watch it, and don't don't sue me. I'm not gonna give advice over here, but just this is just some food for thought. No pun intended. All right.
Now we know how badly the meat industry
Yeah,
influences
it's really.
climate change.
Did your I'm wondering, do you feel some type of way about this?
Yeah, I didn't know about like all of the specific numbers. I knew it was a very very big issue, but I didn't know the extent of it. Um and yeah, I didn't know that, for example, that most of the plants and stuff we grow also go to those animals to feed them and not to us, which would be way more efficient, like you said. Um, and I know that I already knew that we can survive without meat as human beings. Um, Obviously, I still think it's different um, if you're a person who eats a lot of meat every week and you buy it from a supermarket versus a person who maybe eats it once every week or every 2 weeks and then you buy it locally from a butcher who has their own farm. I don't know. I think it's different depending on the situation, but I never knew the extent to how bad this is. And obviously, I think most people know that the even if you don't believe that eating meat is bad for moral reasons or whatever, you can see that the industry has now grown to an extent which is way too big to be healthy or to be good for the earth or to anyone. And by cutting down your consumption of it, you can help that and maybe help it grow to a normal size. Like
Yeah.
even if you're pro eating meat,
Yeah, and I don't even think you need to like become a vegetarian
vegan,
or a vegan or whatever. But even if you just one day a week you cut down on the meat, and you're like, I don't know, you don't eat meat for like 1 or 2 days a week, that makes a huge difference in the grand scheme of things.
or even replacing the red meat with the white meat or with
Mm-hmm.
pork, it can make a big impact.
Exactly. Yeah, but I feel like a lot of people don't know though. I was talking to my roommate, shout out, and I was preparing this, and I told her a little bit about what we were going to be talking about, and then I said something about like, yeah, the meat industry. And she was like, oh, really? And I explained something to her, and I like, a lot of people don't know about this, because how would you know about
Yeah,
this?
how are you gonna find out?
Now let's move on to AI.
AI. Let's point some more fingers.
Yes. Um, a little. I don't know if you can even call this a documentary. I guess it's like 30 minutes. It's not that long, and it's on YouTube. It's called "Exposing the Dark Side of America's AI Data Center Explosion: A View from Above." It's by Business Insider. It is focused on the U.S., but it can be extended to other places in the world, because with data centers have always been present because we need them for like Google and whatnot. But because of AI and its extended use everywhere, we there has just been so many, like Amazon has so many and now there's, yeah, a data center explosion, as the title says. I would recommend watching it. It's literally only 30 minutes. If you watch it 2 times speed, it's 15 minutes. So yeah, the emergence of AI has rightfully so raised concerns that AI fueled data center growth will fuel climate change. Because the power required to train generative AI models, such as OpenAI's GPT-4, can demand a lot of electricity, which leads to increased carbon dioxide emissions, as we talked about previously. So another couple of numbers.
Great.
Right, because we were, in case you were wondering, GPT-4's training energy is equivalent to the annual residential electricity consumption of over 460,000 people in sub-Saharan Africa. And GPT-4's training carbon footprint of 25,000 tons of CO2 emissions would require the capacity of 420,000 tree seedlings grown for 10 years, or about equal to the number of trees in 105 Hyde Parks in London. And then I think the biggest concern with data centers is the water
That is
footprint.
used to cool down
Uh
the.
huh. So the water footprint associated with training GPT-4 was about 600 million liters, which is enough to meet the minimum annual domestic water needs of 81,000 people in sub-Saharan Africa, or to fill 237 Olympic-sized pools.
Wait, and this is the water that was used to
To
train
train
ChatGPT
for,
or
yeah,
GPT-4.
GPT-4. They
Okay.
have like different versions, you know?
Yeah. And GPT-5 is coming.
Yeah, and that, trust me, that is worse. I didn't want to include more numbers because I don't want to, but it, oh my god, it's worse.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And also there's a lot of other issues such as electronic waste. AI relies on specialized hardware like GPUs, TPUs, and high performance servers, which have relatively short lifespans. Frequent upgrades and disposal of these devices create large amounts of e-waste because it can't be, like, nature can't break it. Like, it just, it stays the way it is for thousands of years or however many years. Um, and yeah, they're very difficult to recycle and may release harmful chemicals into the environment as well.
And also the creation of those devices requires fossil fuels. No?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's also harmful.
Yeah. And resource extraction. Manufacturing AI hardware requires mining metals such as lithium, cobalt, and rare earth elements. Yeah, thank you. The extraction processes can cause habitat destruction, water pollution, and soil degradation, contributing to long term ecological harm.
Whoa.
Yeah, land use. Building large scale AI data centers often requires significant land, potentially disrupting natural habitats and local biodiversity. The construction and maintenance of these facilities can also alter landscapes and contribute to urbanization pressures. This does not only go for biodiversity in terms of animals and plants, this also goes for people. Because so much water is used, it needs to come from somewhere. So that means some people don't have enough water. Soil degradation. These data centers are usually not built in the cities or in places where wealthy people live. It's usually where people who don't really get a say in this live, and who face the consequences of global warming, rather than the people who live in the cities and who can go to bed at night and not think about this because it's not a part of their lives.
They go to bed at night asking ChatGPT to fucking create them a little lullaby,
Literally.
personalized for them to
Yes.
sleep.
Absolutely. No, these people are often people who, they need that water, of course, like everybody fucking does, or they, I don't know, grow plants or keep livestock, and if the soil is not fertile, or if grass can't grow, or there's plants can't grow, then that is a really big fucking problem. So all in all, it's just very unfair, and it can really lead to a lot of problems for people. To add on to the list, enabling millions of people to use generative AI in their daily lives, and then fine tuning the models to improve their performance draws large amounts of energy long after a model has been developed. Because once a generative AI model is trained, the energy demands don't disappear, unfortunately. Um, oh, I was gonna say it, yeah. The water that is needed to cool down the data centers, it can strain municipal water supplies and disrupt local ecosystems. And the increasing number of generative AI applications has also spurred demand for high performance computing hardware, adding indirect environmental impact from its manufacture and transport. So, because people want more AI, everybody wants AI, the materials, the hardware that is needed to facilitate that needs to be created, which also adds to pollution.
Yeah,
So, it's just really one big vicious cycle.
huge cycle.
Hmm. And each time a model is used, perhaps by one person asking ChatGPT to summarize an email, the computing hardware that performs those operations consumes energy. And researchers have estimated that one ChatGPT question, so one prompt, consumes about 5 times more electricity than a simple web search. And also, generative AI models themselves have a very short shelf life because people want new applications constantly and it's being upgraded and retrained constantly. New models are released like every few weeks by companies. So the energy that has been used to train like the prior versions goes to waste and then it all just happens again pretty much. However, compared to aviation or cement production, what we mentioned at the beginning, AI's total carbon footprint today is pretty small. Um, Data centers currently consume about 1 or 2% of global electricity, which is not too bad. But because AI is growing at such an immense speed, the models are getting larger, the applications are getting broader, and the adoption more widespread, it's going to grow immensely. Oh wait, and of the 1 or 2%, one between 1 and 2% of global emissions of
Data
data
centers
centers, 15% is AI,
for now.
for literally emphasis on for now because trust,
It's growing.
yes, everywhere around you, literally wake up, look around. The International Energy Agency projects that energy demands will double by 2030 because of AI. And already in just a 5-year period, Google's carbon emissions surged nearly 50% due to AI's energy demand. However, and this is one thing that AI has that the meat industry
Doesn't.
really can't beat,
Oh,
I fear, is that it can help us with our climate change issue
oh,
because there are reasonable expectations. If you look it up anywhere, if you look up AI climate change or whatever, this is what they're going to point to, the positive side of the coin rather than
yeah.
the negative one. And I think that's like fair kind of because it is a huge win if you
Oh,
think about it. But there are expectations that AI applications in the energy sector could help reduce emissions by unlocking new optimizations and efficiency, which is very ironic if you think about it.
yeah.
But I did also watch some stuff about that, and I think it is for real. Like it really can make pretty intense calculations and help with making a plan. Obviously, it takes people to actually do it,
Yeah.
but it can be used. For example, it's currently being used to optimize power grids for renewable energy, predict wildfires, monitor deforestation, and model future climate change scenarios. It's even helping design new materials for batteries and carbon capture. So, in this sense, AI is both part of the problem and part of the solution.
Damn. I don't know why I thought the environmental impact of AI was way bigger than this.
I also thought that. I also thought that until I fucking looked it up. But
Yeah.
that's because of the fucking social media, bro, because everybody's talking about that and you see it everywhere and people are always talking about how really bad it is and obviously it's still bad.
Really bad.
Yeah, but
Not necessarily because of the environment or just because of the
I
environment.
mean Still the environment
Yeah,
though,
yeah, yeah.
with like the water, I think is the main
A big,
issue,
yeah.
but it is arguably not
Not as
nearly as bad
significant, yeah.
than
Compared to the,
livestock.
yeah.
So do with that what you will, but now at least you know who to point fingers at.
Yeah.
But we obviously are not stimulating that. This is just to give you a little idea of what's going on in the world, because social media can blow things out of proportion like we talk about every single fucking time. But we also fell for it because we also thought that it was a reasonable debate, like
Yeah.
AI versus meat
Meat.
industry. Which one is it? Well, obviously. But I also think though the meat industry has been around for so long, whereas AI has not. So
And AI is literally a problem that has been created right now. Like, and the thing with AI is it has been around for a long time. And a lot of things that you didn't know were AI have been AI for a while. Like when you play on the Wii or on the Switch, the CPU people that you can add in a game, those are also AI. And that has been around for
but that's not
decades.
generative though. The widespread adoption has been pretty new, I would
Yeah,
say. And also, I think AI brings a lot of other problems, mostly societal problems,
so
whereas
many.
like meat is purely
Environmental.
environmental and the planet.
Yeah. So
Um
if you think about the planet, you should be pointing fingers at meat eaters.
yeah.
But I do want to say, as you mentioned at the start of the episode, the 20 largest economies are responsible for almost 80% of global emissions. And I think this kind of shows that the people who are just buying meat to eat it, or the people who are just using AI because it's accessible, are not necessarily at fault. Obviously, our world is designed in a way where that is just the easiest way for you to live, but it is coincidentally also the most harmful, unfortunately. So, obviously, the fault lies in those big industries and those big companies and corporations that take advantage of our earth to to make money,
Money.
even though, like, obviously we have to make that change ourselves, us humans, especially if you're privileged enough financially and if you've been educated about this. It is like everyone's responsibility to carry a little bit of this burden and to boycott companies that do such things. But obviously the main fault is not the people, like it's a systemic issue.
True, but I want to be very careful making that statement because I think people who are avid AI stands and who are avid meat eaters will hear this and run with it, saying like,
Yeah.
because it's very easy to say like, oh, I'm not the problem. Like if I change
Mm-hmm.
my ways, it won't make a difference,
It will.
because it will. It is a systemic issue, but it's gonna take the people to change it because it
Yeah.
is a systemic issue because we
Yeah,
keep it going.
exactly.
Like we're the reason they can
They
actually make
can
a
do
profit
this.
off of this. So yes, it
Yeah,
does take us to make a change because as long as there's money in it, companies are not gonna stop. They don't give a fuck.
exactly. It's their fault, but we can make the difference.
Mm-hmm. I forgot to mention this at the start, but besides the heat wave that I mentioned that we've everyone has been complaining about because it's been so rough, other effects of climate change are more severe storms, increased droughts, a warming, rising ocean, extinction of species of animals, not enough food, more health risks. Every year, environmental factors take the lives of around 13
Oh my
million
god.
people, and poverty and displacement, which in 2024 alone, 48 45.8 million people were displaced due to weather related disasters. So this is a very real issue, and I want to highlight that because I feel like in the Western world we don't really hear a lot about it
No.
because
We take the benefits. Like we
yeah,
have the
we
air
reap the
conditioning.
rewards. Yeah,
Yeah, we have the air conditioning. We have the like fucking fans. The
we're going on
Yeah, we're
holiday,
going on holidays.
eating.
Yeah, we have heating in winter. Like for us it's all beneficial. But this is going,
We don't have a data center in our backyard.
no,
Like,
this costs lives. 13 million to be exact. Or what was
more,
it?
13 million due with the health risks, and then 45.8 million people that are displaced because of consequences of global warming
And to add to that, we
in
will
the weather.
also be out of clean drinking water.
Yeah.
sooner than you think because of this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to affect all of you, even in the West, even the rich ones. So,
Yes. Um, I wanted to honorably mention our planet, which is I think I talked about this to you, didn't I?
no, I genuinely thought you meant the Earth when I read this.
No, I mean, of course, our Earth is fucking valuable, and we love her. But I meant the docu series on Netflix. It's really not predominantly about climate change, in my humble opinion. It's literally just about animals. It's really cute. I really like it. It has some really nice imagery and videos of wildlife, and it reminds us of how precious our planet really is and how incredible it is. And it does also mention some, issues that us humans have caused for the planet, but I don't think that's the main focus. But I think it's a nice balance, and it's just all around a really nice show to watch. So
So
get
cute.
on that. That's all I had. That's all we had.
That's all we had for today. I hope you guys learned a lot. I definitely did. I
Me
learned
too.
so much. Um, and if you guys want to listen to more of our podcast episodes, you can find us on YouTube and Spotify. We upload episodes bi weekly on Fridays at 5 p.m. CET. We also have a YouTube channel called After Hours TV, and that's where we post more casual, more funny,
Laid
unserious
back.
videos.
Hmm.
Um, and we also have social media, TikTok and Instagram. It's After Hours FM with a zero instead of an O, and that's just where we post very funny content daily. So that's also fun to
Yes.
follow.
So thanks for watching. We hope it made you think. See you next
See
time.
you next week. Bye.
Bye.
You too.